Hello guys, welcome to Banter Blitz. I finally found how to change the titles on all of the platforms, not only on YouTube. So let's see how this will affect the quality of my chess. I think there is no connection between these events, but well, who knows. All right, just as usual, I would like to play several games against you, analyzing everything that is happening on the board during the game, and probably providing you with some sort of analysis after each and every game. Let's have a look how it works this time. So, just checking if you can see the board, if you can see me. If you can hear me, just let me know in chat if everything is fine in the sense of the quality of the sound and the picture. And just as usual, I'm going to start with 3 games against people I've never played before. Of course, if we have anyone among the challengers. So, let me check. Yeah, here is the first guy from South Korea. Well, according to the information provided with the account. So, let's accept that challenge and play the game. Excuse me. So again, starting with black pieces, which is not very pleasant, but what can I do? So let's try to play a good game. So we have Nimto Indian defense. Bishop goes to b4 to pin the knight and hence control indirectly squares like e4 and d5 better. Let's see. e4. Okay, this is an aggressive line. The main line, as far as I know, is d7, d5 with then knight to e4 or something. But I prefer to play this modest d6 with the simple idea of just playing e5 next move. Even if white plays knight to f3, it's still quite interesting to try e5 to sacrifice a pawn. If white accepts that sacrifice, black will have some initiative using the fact that the knight on e5 will be kind of vulnerable, e-file will be open, there will be some play against d4 pawn. So a3. All right, let's just grab the knight. It's typical stuff here. Now e5. So white has a damaged pawn structure, which gives black some plans on the queen side. They're mainly long-term, I would say. So as far as I remember, queen c7 deserves attention here. And again, if I'm not mistaken, something like b5 is interesting. Because if white captures, then there is c4. And I have a threat of just taking on d4 and then probably just attacking this c4. Or maybe combining some stuff, I don't know, maybe bishop e6. Maybe taking on c4 first is a threat, and after bishop c4, taking on d4, and then something like bishop a6. Yes, that is the main threat here. So if you follow the line, b takes c4, bishop c4, cd4, attacking the bishop on c4. Then if bishop takes, bishop goes to a6. This sort of stuff. After bishop g5 though, white will have no problems protecting that bishop on c4. On the other hand, after bc4, bishop c4, cd4, cd4, bishop a6, for example, rook c1, I can capture everything on c4 and then take on e4, kind of winning the pawn maybe, or something close to that. Well, this line looks interesting. Let's check it. I mean, it's Blitz, right? Why not to experiment? Maybe something protecting the knight on f6 is a bit better for black than taking on c4 immediately. So bishop f7 is not a threat. That's important because we capture with the queen going away from that attack on the c-file. So we indeed can play this move. So now if bishop takes f6, we just take on c4. attacking the queen and the knight on e2, and the bishop on f6 will be still hanging. So I think something like rook c1 is pretty much forced now, because if bishop goes away, I just take the queen and then take on e2. Winning material. What? Giving me a chance to do that, actually? All right. Let's see. It's like extra minor piece now. Come on. Just extra minor piece. Time to resign. Time to resign for white. Already here, yeah. Okay. So, the only move here was rook to c1. In which case I wanted to take. Maybe this way, maybe with a queen. Probably with the queen. Queen takes c4. Bishop c4. Rook takes c4. Now knight takes c4, attacking the bishop. So I'm a pawn up now. But white can try this trick. Bishop e7. Rook e8. Something like d takes e5 now. Because if I take the bishop, there's rook c8. But in this case, I have knight to d2 attacking the rook on c4 and the rook on f1. Feels like black is completely fine here and probably even winning the material, right? Yeah. So after b5, white should have played something else. For example, d5 was an option here, obviously. In which case, black may continue with, I don't know, something like knight to d7, maybe taking on c4 and playing bishop, but that makes no sense to me. Yeah, so maybe d5 was an interesting option. So if this happens, white is more or less fine. Of course, black has some tricks after that, so I want to play knight b6 next move, and then again, bishop has some problems with space, but it's easy to solve. So just knight g3, and if knight b6, then bishop e2, something like this. And white has pair of bishops. White wants to play f4, stuff like that. So b5 is a tricky line, but I'm still not sure what to do against simple d5 here. So should be analyzed additionally. Of course, b5 is not hanging now, but I no longer have this play based on c takes d4. And if I play something like knight d7, intending to play knight to b6, once again, it's easy to solve. Just knight to g3, and everything is fine. So now b5 is hanging because I cannot play c4 after that, trapping the bishop. So bishop has e2. And if I play something like knight b6, there's just cb5, so I probably have to take. And then, yeah, bishop c4, and white should be completely okay. So there is also a comment from Pascal, like rook after c1. Yeah, in that line, probably rook after c1 was correct. Yeah, was interesting. All right, nevertheless, thanks for the game. Let's try to find somebody else I've never played before. It's really hard, and it's getting harder and harder each show after another. So almost everyone has played at least one game against me. Well, there is one. Can we bet about how many games in a row will Andrey play with black? Well, many, I suppose. That's the trend. All right. So my opponent is rated only 1200s, which is not that much. But we all know that 1200s can be very tricky opponent. So let's try to be focused. Looks like black is fine here. So position slightly resembles French defense, with the difference that white's pawn is on e3, not on e5. But everything else applies, I guess. So let's go to a5. I have a feeling that I can even take that pawn. I will definitely take that knight, damaging the pawn structure. And I think there is nothing wrong with just taking that pawn. Right? There is bishop b5 check, bishop d7. I don't know. Let's do it. And it's risky, right? After bishop d6, in fact. Nah. There is knight to e4 move, attacking that bishop immediately. So it shouldn't be a catastrophe for black. What I want to do is just to play c4 at some point, close in the position, for example, right now. So why it's important? Because white has pair of bishops. I'm just doing everything to keep position closed and hence keep opponent's bishops passive for a long time. So the question about knight to e4 probably instead of queen to a5, yeah, most likely was also an option. Maybe even after, while I played bishop b4, there was e3. I could have played knight e4 immediately, right? In which case white should have played queen d3. So probably c5 was fine, but then, yeah, probably knight e4 should have been included at some point. Yeah, but this position is also great. But here is a trick. Look at this a3 move. So if I castle now, I'm not sure if white calculated that, but yeah, looks like a plan. So if I castle, there is bishop d6. The rook goes away somewhere. Bishop b4, almost trapping my queen. So it goes to b2, but it's indeed very, very bad. So instead of giving white a chance to do that, I should probably just go away with the queen, or maybe play knight to c6, kind of controlling b4 and preventing that idea. I don't know which one is better, so let's start with the knight c6. Bishop goes to d6. Okay, but now b4 is controlled, so probably I can simply play this move, right? Attacking the bishop immediately. Nice try. So this a3 is very imaginative. Trying to trap my queen, but, well, I noticed that, fortunately, so. It's no longer a problem. So another suggestion was just to play knight e4, preventing bishop d6. But look, I'm not against bishop d6 if I can attack it instantly. So looks like I won a tempo in this case. And knight to c6 was a development move, so it was absolutely fine. Good. So we're having extra pawn here. Nice. Bishop c5. I can play b6 even if I want. The question is, do I want to? So if I play b6, maybe there is something like knight to e5. And if I capture on e5, there is bishop b4. Intermediate move, finally bringing my queen to b2. Which is not good. So let's just grab that bishop. I mean, this definitely solves all of my problems. Now we are just a pawn up. And this c5 will be most likely captured in the nearest future. So I think white's position is lost. I don't even see an active counterplay, so should be just an easy win for me. Right. So what is the next move though? Just bishop to d7. Maybe intended even to occupy a4 at some point. The only trick here is something like knight to b5, but then my queen goes to a5, so what? Knight e6, I take on c5. Yeah, let's play bishop d7. I think it's absolutely a valid option. I also considered e5 move instead of bishop d7 with the idea of knight c6, b takes c6, protecting d5. But in that case, after e5, there was knight to b5. And if queen goes to a5, the knight... Well, maybe it was possible, right? Yeah, maybe it was possible. Just e5 immediately. If knight b5, just queen a5, attacking that knight. And then I would have had time to protect d5 pawn. Yeah, probably was also a good option for me. But now, it feels like I'm winning the pawn on c5. After knight to d6, I can even take my time and protect b7, playing rook to b8, if I want. Yeah, it's an option. Why not? Queen takes c5, knight b7, queen b6, rook b1 was also an option for black, but less clear to me. And I think there was one option that I didn't even consider. I mean, when the knight was on b5, I could have tried bishop c4, dc4, queen d7, but then the knight on b5 would have been captured. So it was not possible. But the thing is, I didn't even consider that. That's the thing. So 2 extra pawns now. Still no counterplay for white, like at all. So I believe black should easily win this. I said white. If I said white, I meant black. So the question, Andrey, could we challenge you at 3 minutes if we want? Yeah, you can, but like the point behind my show is to explain stuff, not to actually compete. So in case of 3 minute game, I will have not so much time to explain the things. So I'll be just more like playing. All right. So not sure if it is interesting for you. Well, if you want, you can, of course. It's not that I don't accept 3 minute challenges. I also accept them, but I prefer to play 5 minute games. Okay, so there is nothing to comment. I won a lot of material almost immediately. The only interesting moment was this a3 with the idea of playing bishop d6 and then something like bishop b4 trapping my queen. So I played knight to c6 to prevent this, bishop to b4, and after that my position was good. And there was also absolutely reasonable suggestion to play knight to e4, probably here. Knight to e4 was even better than queen a5 against bishop to e2. So I actually expected something like bishop to b5. So bishop to e2, knight to e4, I think was better than queen a5. Yeah? So almost the same, but if I win a pawn on c3, I can even keep both bishops on the board, which is amazing. All right, thanks a lot for the game. Let's have a look. So the third challenger having no history against me. No playing history, I mean. Here's one. 2700s, by the way. So let's play. It's going to be really challenging. All right. And again, black pieces. Come on. It's not funny. It's not funny anymore. e4, e5. Prom night is here. Hello. So it is a... Okay, this gambit line. Let's take there. So rook e1, d5, bishop d5, queen d5. We have a transposition to one of the famous lines in two knights defense. So black is a pawn up at the moment. This may change though, rather quickly. All right, this way. I've never seen this before, to be honest. Never played that. Because now what's going on here, we have pair of bishops in a position which is quite open. And white doesn't have any advantage to compensate it. Let's have a look what could be the best for black here. So simply castling bishop e3 takes on d4. Something like bishop takes d4, f6 looks absolutely acceptable for black. Well, let's do it. Why not? So pair of bishops in the open position. Black should do better here, simply. Okay, let's just take it. Simplifying the stuff a bit. Now it's important, I think, to include this. limit the knight and to, to prevent knight to g5 and stuff. Here I wanted to put my bishop where? That's a good question, by the way. So if I play bishop f5, there may be trick, like knight f6, rook e8 check, maybe knight somewhere, maybe knight g3, and then rook e8 check, and having the rook on the back rank. Yeah, so for now, let's just step back to f7 to control e8, just in case. Because from here, my bishop can also go to g6. Ah, feels fine. So even if white now plays bishop c5, I'm okay, because I still have an advantage, the bishop against the knight in a position with pawns on both flanks. That should be better for black. So now f5 starts looking like an option at some point. f5, maybe even now. f5 now goes away, rook d2 check. Then my bishop may be hanging there, so not so good. Okay, but what about... Now it's also too risky, so if we take the pawn on a2, there is b3, then we play f5, knight goes away, rook d2, rook e2, captures, bishop b1, king d2. Yeah, the bishop may be trapped there. So it's a bit too much, I would say. Okay, let's try this move. Sort of preparing the capture on a2. And if b3, then something like a4, trying to actually bring the bishop back. All right, so this way. Now let's continue with the attack. Let's capture it. Now, what to do now? Rook to d3 or rook to d2? Maybe simplifying the stuff even more. Well, let's do it. Let's see how that works. Now let's bring the king to the center. So, position looks very comfortable for black. Let's grab some space. Maybe even more. Oh, this way. That's interesting. All right. Okay. So b3 is now a weakness. The question is it really important? Probably yes. Why not? Oh, this way, just giving me a chance to take on e4. Let's quickly calculate. I think I'm not in time there. So bishop e4 takes, king b5. No, it shouldn't be good for black. But what about bishop f7 now? King b5, yeah, bishop takes b3. That's okay. Okay. Let's bring the bishop to central position. Knight is going to occupy c4. Yeah, that was a bad idea. I somehow forgot about my own weaknesses, which is bad. So let's see. Knight c4 is checked, by the way. Oh, shit. That was stupid. Stupid idea. Bishop d5 was absolutely incorrect. So the king should have been on f4, then trying to get to e3. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm too old. I need more time for this sort of endings. Some time ago, of course, I could have played this endings without problems. Winning games almost automatically, but these times are gone, so. Unfortunately. Correct. Yeah, black doesn't have even the implication of the advantage here anymore. Or maybe, if my opponent gives me some chances, well, probably knight c2 is absolutely incorrect. So now maybe we will have some chances here. Okay, that's the trick, obviously. Now black indeed has chances. Yeah. That was absolutely unnecessary, but it doesn't spoil anything. I just wanted to have my bishop on a protected position somehow. Alright, so I'm going to lose on time probably, but I have absolutely winning position, right? The knight was hanging there, just didn't notice that. Yeah. Maybe we'll still have time to win. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, poor technique. No, there will be no loss, at least. Okay, but the draw didn't have enough time. All right. Okay. You have to be faster, says Prom Knight. Of course, I would like to be faster, but come on, I'm old and slow. All right. What to say? So the whole line is bad for white. I mean, playing knight takes d4 means that you give black an advantage right from the start. So instead, you should try something theoretically approved, something like bishop g5, in which case position is usually balanced. All right, so here there is nothing to discuss. Black is just having a pair of bishops in a symmetrical pawn structure in which we have pawns on both flanks, so it's a just classic advantage for black, and even if one of the bishops is exchanged, black still has the advantage, also according to classics. That's all well known from Capablanca's books, I would say. So let's continue. So we have played 3 games against guys I've never played before. So let's play one by one now. Accept the challenge from Sergei Rachmaninov. Let's go. Yeah, and of course in the endgame I made so many mistakes. Of course my opponent also made a lot of mistakes. But I mean, come on. Position was so good at some point. And then I missed that idea with the knight to c4. So bishop d5 was a stupid move at all. Yeah. Never mind. Let's forget about that game and focus on the new one. Sergei Rachmaninov. My friend, it's your turn. I've played e4. So c5. All right, so Sicilian. Good evening, sir. Bishop b5. Let's try this line. Also my choice of the past, I would say. So nowadays I just play d4 against knight c6, but there were times when I was around 2400s, around, so maybe 2350, or I don't remember, maybe 60, and I used to play bishop b5 a lot. So the point here is that white is focusing on preparing d4 gradually, and at some point the position starts resembling Ruy Lopez. So it's more like going away from the typical Sicilian path, trying to play pawn structures that are more typical for Ruy Lopez. It doesn't mean that it's bad for black, well, on the contrary, but it requires some knowledge of those structures. That's what I mean. Okay. So d4 right now looks very interesting. So e4, cd4, let's say. b5, kind of tricky. Knight may jump to e5, let's say. cd4, cd4, knight e4, knight e4, e4 doesn't give me anything, to be honest. Maybe just e5 after that, and maybe some tempo play. Well, let's try it. I mean, that's interesting. Area says queen b6. Yeah, queen b6 is absolutely valid move. It's one of the main choices for black in that position. At least it used to be when I played bishop b5 line. It's normal. So especially if I play bishop f1, it's absolutely justified because my bishop is no longer active on b5, but rather passive on f1. But instead of giving me a chance to play this knight to c4, black could have played queen c7 right after I played bishop to f1 to have a6. Right in time to be prepared for this knight a3. Okay, so this means we can play d5 now. And I think it's good. And after knight to a5, I think I will just step back to d2, creating sort of b4 winning the piece. All right. Black should have some problems with that knight now. So I have more space. That bishop on g7 is quite bad after I close the position. So this pawn structure is quite typical for different openings, including Ruy Lopez, including, I don't know, King's Indian defense, let's say. Yeah, so that knight is constantly bad now. The question is how to proceed from here. So a5 is black's next move, I believe. But I don't think black has so much time to implement that. Anyway, I want to occupy c-file as soon as possible. So this is accomplished. And then my bishop can jump to a6, blockading a7 pawn. Nice. I love my position. It's just strategically winning, I believe. So black will be suffering till the end of the game here. 100%. Now the question is how to convert it convincingly. Let's put the queen on e2. So our task should be to occupy the c-file. Black is really passive here. So let's take there. Rook to c1, right? Preventing knight to d8. Oh my god, this is still possible. Look at that. It's possible. If I play queen c4, there's just knight takes a6. Okay. I don't want to give up that bishop. If I step back, there is a5 though. Is it that bad for me if knight takes on a6? Well, yeah, it's annoying for sure. What about bishop b5 though? Knight b5, queen b5, creating a threat of queen e8. There's bishop g4. Feels like I'm lacking just one tempo to make this position a complete hell for black. So black still has some chances here. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, knight went to d8, but as usual for such a situation, it's no better. For now at least. Yeah, I'm missing something simple here, I think. Right, let's play knight c4, just attacking d6. For now, b6 is also my target right after black played a5. Should be logical, right? Yeah, simple play. For white, and quite annoying position for black. So there is a comment on Twitch, tough structure for black. Well, not really the structure. I would say that it's all about that knight. Excuse me. So just put that knight on better square and it would be already quite better for black compared to what black has right now. Okay, what about this move? Just attacking b6 the second time. By the way, in this position, some sort of sacrifice on a5 or somewhere. It's quite typical. But I don't need sacrifices if my position is better, all right? Just want to grab b6. That's going to be just good enough for me. All right. So we're getting closer and closer. If black plays b5, I just play knight to a5, or maybe even knight to b6, takes c8, and there is some sort of queen b6, so maybe just a tactical solution to all of this. But again, I'm not sure I need it. But if I play knight a5, there is something like knight a6 attacking c3, which is not a big deal. We can protect it easily with the bishop to c3, but this may actually make the game longer. So what if knight b6? Rook a2 is the only thing that makes me feel not really happy. Okay, I don't like it. Let's just put the knight on a5. Because now black has no compensation, no counterplay, nothing. At the same time, I have this c6 if what I've planned doesn't work. Can also support my knight at any moment with another one, moving it through d2 to b3. The only problem here is the time on the clock, right? So I'm again too slow. So I should play much faster in general. Okay, there is another object of attack. It is g6. Now h5. Oh, queen was hanging there. Thank you. What the fuck am I doing here? I lost on time, right? What an idiot. What an idiot. I mean, how it's possible to lose on time, having, first of all, more time at some point, having extra queen and stuff. Come on. Yeah, that's me nowadays. That's me nowadays. But the way I outplayed my opponent was quite instructive. So basically, white paralyzed black on the queen side first. Then black started creating weakness on the other side of the board. And yeah, I managed to get another object of attack and stuff. All right. Yeah. So I'm super slow. I'm super slow. All right. Sorry for that, guys. So quick analysis again, just as usual after the game. So after knight a5 and knight d2, I believe white was already much better because of that threat of b4, actually forcing the knight to super passive position. Okay. Yeah, so what to do here? After d4, I suppose something like this was interesting for black. I was not sure that I would be fine here, but now I see that I have this tricky move. Just attacking b5 twice, right? So creating sort of knight takes b5 with the tempo, and black has just lost the central pawn, which means I have pretty good perspectives here in the center, right? And yeah, I think this is also not so good for black. So yeah, as I said during the game, I guess, well first of all, e5 is not forced here. So something normal like castling or maybe queen c7 immediately. So that's knight to c4 is not dangerous. I think simply castling, because here knight to c4 is not that great if I don't have something to attack there, right? Okay. Never mind. Yeah, very painful results, but the whole game was absolutely mine. All right. Challenge Ford is the next, so probably the most challenging game, just as usual. And again, just a tradition, I'm playing with black. Playing with black, nothing changes here. Okay. So, Prom Knight says, you played a really good game and lost it because you're so slow. All right, I may be much faster. You know, I will just stop commenting, teaching you something, and yeah, I will be much faster, believe me. Like times faster. But it's not the point, I guess, right? So the point is to annotate and probably share some experience, share some, you know, ideas, make you slightly better. You, not me, because I'm already fine. Okay, so here I can play just d4, right? If I'm not missing something, this should give me some extra space. Knight d4, just bishop g2. In this case, just protect the pawn there. And I'm not sure that the knight on b5 is that great. But maybe it's good in the sense of attacking d4. That's true. That's true. And that is probably something that makes white's position better in this case. Yeah, maybe I underestimated that knight on b5. Because, in fact, what happened, I was going to grab some space instead. I just lost my central pawn, right? Question, why you waste time in playing well when you have 5 seconds? Well, guys, because it's not important for me to win each and every game. When will you actually understand that? I have played thousands of games already in my life. I mean, if we talk about Blitz games, I have 3100s rating, even a bit more. So I don't need it. Like, I know it is possible to get there. I know it is possible to beat super strong opponents. I know it is possible to lose to super weak opponents, and so on. So one game doesn't change anything in my life. All right? That's the thing. So to me, it's much more important actually to play a decent game. Doesn't matter, well, if I lose it on time, and everyone sees that I'm losing it on time, not on the position, because position was winning right from the start. Who cares? Well, maybe it's important for you to win games. It's correct, especially if you play a tournament, let's say. Then, yeah, everything matters. But if we talk about this Blitz game, well, it's not important at all to me. I mean the result. Okay, let's try to bring our pieces to slightly better positions because I'm not satisfied with the results of the opening here. I believe white should be better in this position. The question from Crowning Student about the next training Tuesday, Fischer and Ray Lopez, not necessarily the exchange variation, so it will be definitely about the exchanged. There will be several games played in exchanged variation, but not all of them because he played also lots of games within the normal Spanish. Yeah, so white is having the advantage here for sure. Yeah, I don't know what to do here. So knight c6 is a very annoying threat, so I probably have to go away with my queen. Let's check if I have some tactics here. Probably no, because if I play knight d5, there is knight c6 at very least. Yeah, let's just go away. If queen jumps to b7, at least I have bishop d6 protecting the knight and attacking that knight on e5. It doesn't solve my problems, I guess, but yeah. Position is terrible, actually. Just terrible. But never mind. Queen to c6, okay, that is interesting. But not that expected, to be honest. So what if I just take and play bishop to d6? Is it that terrible for me? I can also just take and simply protect it, right? I mean, I don't need that bishop that much in this particular case. So if white wants to take on e7, let it be. I'm not against. So what kind of counterplay we can have here? Something like knight to g4 attacking e3, maybe then bishop g5 if bishop is still on the board, of course. In this case, though, I have to protect the pawn. So I have to put my knight on d7, unfortunately. But anyway, I thought my position is just completely lost. Here I see I still have some chances, so I can still play it somehow. Not pleasant for sure, but I guess it's sort of playable still. Let's put the knight on a6 protecting c5, so if d takes c5, then knight a6 takes c5. Just kind of trying to survive it. That's the case here. Of course, we're not playing for a win. We're trying to survive this position, but I think it's a doable thing here, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong. So this is very strong, actually, what white did. Simply attacking my knight. And knight takes b6 wins the exchange, right? Ah, shit. Yeah. It's very hard. Very hard position, so I probably have to give up a pawn in this very pathetic way. Just to keep on playing, right? So a pawn down now. The position is still very bad. So nothing has changed in the sense of evaluation. C5 is under attack. Oh shit. Yeah. Bad position. Very, very bad position. But I have had much worse, so. I don't even know what can be played here. I mean, everything that comes to mind is quite bad anyway. No, I didn't have time to do that. Yeah. Just grabbing everything here. That doesn't really help. All right, it's lost. Resign. Okay. Yeah, there is nothing to comment actually. At the very beginning, instead of thinking about the position, I've been just talking to you, so that it's at the critical moment I underestimated the power of this idea of just bring the knight to b5 and then playing e3, where after my position has no perspectives. I don't say that it's automatically lost, but it's really bad already. Maybe I could have tried something, you know, active right here immediately. Maybe something connected with the a4, trying to change the course of the game, but I was still not quite aware of all the complications here. Maybe a4 here, by the way. So the thing is, if b takes a4, then knight b4, attacking d3, and intending this rook takes a4. But of course, white is not forced to take on a4, which means this a4 may be just a waste of time again. So something like knight e5 looks pretty strong, protecting the pawn in advance, and again attacking this c6. So yeah, this is really good for white. Probably a5 is the wrong move, so actually the normal course here is just to play c5, and white doesn't have this plan anymore, so this knight c3 and knight b5 makes no sense. So I guess, yeah, this a5 was just the thing that I somehow automatically played, but was not really aware of the, you know, consequences. At least here, instead of playing d4, I should have played something else. So black's position is still absolutely okay if black doesn't commit this weakening of the position. So something like knight to d7 is absolutely normal, absolutely playable. All right, so thanks for the game. So Ericsson, accept. White pieces, finally, let's go. So Sergei Rachmaninov says, I checked our game with the Stockfish, and as I thought, black was only slightly worse most of the game. Well, everything that Stockfish says is, of course, very important, and probably it makes sense to use Stockfish and stuff, but if you are a fair player, you don't use Stockfish during the game, which means the evaluation of the Stockfish may be not applicable at all, because human beings are just playing slightly different chess compared to engines. Stockfish says it is slightly worse because it calculates like 30 moves in depth and sees some nuances there at the end. A human being doesn't play like that. That's why something that Stockfish considers slightly worse is, of course, just slightly worse for Stockfish, because Stockfish is able to handle that position the right way to keep it playable, but the human being will make it just worse and worse and worse. So that position, from a human being point of view, is absolutely bad for black. And in the real chess, black usually avoids playing something like that, if there is a chance. And there was a chance for black to avoid such a situation. So from a practical point of view, the position where you have no perspectives at all, no active plan whatsoever, from a practical point of view, cannot be just slightly worse. From a practical point of view, it's almost lost. All right? Even the classic position when you in Sicilian, when you have the knight on d5 against the dark squared bishop, I don't think that engines automatically give white decisive advantage. I don't think they give white an advantage at all, but all the grandmasters actually try to avoid that position, even the top grandmasters, whose strength is very close to the strength of engines. So all right, it starts looking like I'm not playing even and just talking. I think it's fine. We actually discussed a lot of interesting things. So the plan is just to play f4, f5 at some point. Bishop e3, the question from Kramnik student is to play f4. Because the plan is to undermine the basis of the pawn chain, which is on e6. Okay, the question is how to do that. Probably like this. Maybe taking on g6 made some sense, but I guess now we are very close to play f5. To play in f5, sorry. And that is what we need in this position, of course, according to the pawn structure. So rook to g3 or bishop to g3 is coming. I don't think that any of this is anything dangerous for white. So maybe we should just play f5. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that move. Continuing with the plan. So just imagine if we manage to play f6 here. I mean, f takes c6 is one of the possibilities to create a weakness there. Another one is usually to play f6 and then to get to g7. And once we get f7 pawn, should be done. Should be over for black. I mean, in this particular case, of course, the things are not so simple. Because now black's light squared bishop finally gets into play. This may change the evaluation. But still, I believe without dark squared bishops, in this particular case, if I play f6, or it's better to say when I play f6, I will have an easy access to g7 after that. And the weakness of black on h6 is fixed also on dark square. Without dark squared bishop, it will be harder for black to protect it. Yeah, it looks nice. Let's just play f6 here without much thinking. And then just focus on the g file. That's our plan here. I think it's absolutely valid. Knight to b3 doesn't give black anything, I guess. And now, what to do now? What is the best move? Rook to g1, bishop f3, knight d2, and then knight to e4 may be annoying potentially. So if we move the knight away now, there is rook to g5, which is also not what I want here, to be honest. So probably I should actually give black a chance to get to e4 with the knight if there is such a plan. But then to be fast in bringing my rook to g7, it feels like it's doable here. It's like the next move, right? So knight e4, just rook g7. Again, without much thinking, because it's so natural. Why not? But probably we'll have to sacrifice an exchange at some point. All right, queen b5, interesting. Interesting. So f7 may be captured, but then there is queen to b2, which is unclear. Probably we don't have to give black such a chance. Let's just play rook e2, protecting b5. Should be good enough. Now we can take on f7, I think. Should be good. Knight f7, bishop e6, bishop f7. Again, we're not in a rush here, so let's just start with this move. There should be something easier than the sacrifice of the exchange. But I don't see it. Not my day. Just not my day. Okay, let's just take there. "22 seconds, yeah. I'm going to lose this game as well. Oh my goodness. That's fantastic. Super instructive losing chess, right? So, yeah. At some point it starts being irritating, so I'm kind of having great positions, but then I lose on time or something. Or just spoil everything in a time trouble, yeah. It's not how it should be done, actually. Queen c2 is quite strange. Queen b2 was correct, actually. Queen b2 and then queen c3. So the same, but grabbing some pawns, right? It was logical, at least. Okay, so here at least I won. At least something. All right, so what happened in this game? Black was probably obsessed with the idea of occupying these light squares on the queen side and forgot about the king side, where I started playing really aggressive chess. So that was okay, I believe. And here, I think the best plan for black was just to open the position as soon as possible. For example, here, f6 deserves serious attention, because I'm not sure I was able to play something like that. Well, it was possible, of course, but was probably not what White wanted to achieve after all, right? Look at this position. So the king is kind of bad. And if I take on f6, or right, you take with the bishop, or maybe even with the pawn, I don't know. So White no longer has this typical initiative. The king is on e1. Probably I have to play something like castling, but then you gradually prepare e5, which is good. So probably f6 was correct here, because knight a5 just gives me what I want, basically. Typical pawn structure where I can play f5, and so on. So Ericsson says, I feel like I had good position, but couldn't close it out. What? Yeah. So I think this pawn structure is good for white. Once again, probably you should have tried f5 here. Yeah, that was probably the correct idea. So don't give me a chance even to play f5. In that case, of course, you have this weakness on e6, but it takes time for white to get there, while my king is quite vulnerable. Now your queen has a better access to the g file, and well, at some point you can even sacrifice e6. I'm not sure that that pawn is super important in this particular case, right? But you don't have to, right? I don't see a clear way to attack right now. Maybe something like f5. Again, I don't quite believe this is good. So something like e5, and if you take, there is no even f6, right? So it's not even a threat. It just looks like a bad position for white. At first glance, maybe I'm saying something stupid, I don't know. Yeah, but f5 deserved attention after this check on g8. And this, I think I had very comfortable position. So just f6 for g1 and stuff, right? And at the end, of course, I probably missed a way to convert it the right way. Yeah, but it was already sort of overwhelming, I don't know. But I didn't have enough time. Okay, nevertheless, thanks for the game. Olaf is next, accept. Whew. Okay, the result is satisfying. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's really important just to win the game. Doesn't matter how. But the previous game was not the worst of mine, 100%. So. Okay, typical stuff. So if I play with white against Olaf, we have Caro-Kann. If I play with black, there is this either hybrid or some versions of Rubinstein line, so different stuff, and Nimzo and Queen Indian defense. But giving up with bishop, come on. It's not correct. So bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, knight e4 leads to the main line, very interesting. For playing with both colors, here I have no idea. Black should be fine, automatically. So let's just castle. g5 was also interesting, but I'm not in the mood. Just want to play simple chess here in this game. Fast, simple chess. So, want to have enough time on my clock. So I have damaged the pawn structure. Usually you sacrifice a excuse me, pair of bishops for it. Here, since white has captured on f6 already, there is no advantage of that sword for white, which means we simply have better pawn structure as black here. That is very good. c4 is our potential object of attack, right? How to get to attack it. First of all, let's clarify the things in the center. So maybe white will capture or play d5, which will definitely make the pawn structure static on the queen side, and that is exactly what we want. So now we're going to exert pressure on e4, that's at least my plan, so that white will be forced to play d5, and that is what I want. Maybe c4 should be also attacked. Let's check. Let's start with this. Queen e6. Kramnik student says that the titles are correct. Yeah, that is exactly what I mentioned at the very beginning of the show. So I finally understood how to do that, and I set those titles myself. And yeah, now they are correct on all of the platforms. So white is not playing d5, which is very smart. But we should insist on it. Let's just bring all the pieces to the e file to create a threat of ed4. Will be hard to force another weakening, but yeah, at least there is no risk for black here. I really want white to play d4, d5, which means pawn structure will be fixed. My knight will obtain potentially this amazing c5 outpost. We can think then about undermining e4 with the f5 move, so on, so forth. Okay, this is accomplished. Nice. Now, I'm not going to exchange queens, although queen g4 was also playable. Just want to bring my knight to c5 now. Let's stop the knight from getting to f5 or h5. Let's protect that pawn. Okay, this is not dangerous, I think. If we play h5, there's queen g5, which may be annoying. I don't want to allow that, so I'll just play this move. Now the knight is amazing. Knight is just perfect. Attacking a4 and kind of pinning the rook a1 to that pawn. That is good. The next stage, well, there are several options. For example, I can simply play queen d7, attacking the pawn, and I don't see how to protect it. Right, so I don't have to react to that. Let's just take on a4. We're pawn up now. Good. White still doesn't have counterplay because of my pawn on g6, but we have to be careful here. h6 may become a problem. So how to deal with that? Simply go back with the knight. Rook h1, rook h8, I suppose. Okay, so maybe rook f7 next, and rook f4, something like that comes to mind. Maybe rook f7, queen to e7, covering g5, and then h5 will be possible, so sort of prophylaxis against queen g5, and then h5, but we are maybe not in time, right? We're maybe not in time here. That's the problem. That's the problem. All right, what to do? What to do here? So we can play rook f7, and after rook a to h1, jump with the queen to a4, rook h6, then check on c2, for example. But I'm not sure it gives me anything, because knight e2, then we can take on e4, queen e4, queen e4. Aha, knight e4 is possible there. That's an interesting line. So rook f7, rook h1, queen a4, rook takes h6, queen c2, check, knight e2, knight takes, for example, knight e2, knight e4, king goes to the back rank. Then I have queen to d1 check, king h2, and rook takes h6. This works. This is fine. And if after queen to c2, king goes to g1 immediately, then queen to d1 check, and that goes to f1. Okay, this may not work for me. This may not work for me at all. Ha! Could have been amazing line. Yeah. Okay, I don't see anything better than covering the diagonal with the rook f4. And by the way, using the information from that line after rook f4, there is no knight e2 because of knight e4. Okay, good. Or something like that. I mean, it should be fine for black. Probably I'm missing something. Yeah, after knight e4, king goes away, and I have both hanging. Yeah, that's a problem. Well then, let's just protect the rook this way. Yeah, I missed something for sure. Could have played it much better. Yeah, I have some sort of compensation here, but I could have had an advantage instead of having the compensation. Now let's try to simplify this stuff as soon as possible. Otherwise, very instructive game. Yeah. Knight e4 was suggested, but then king goes away. And now knight takes e4. No? I didn't see anything better than this. And this may work, by the way. Oh, queen g4. Oh my god. Yeah. By the way, it's still playable because of this check. Look at that. Nice, isn't it? That's really cool. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time here. Look at that. All right. Now there was that pawn. I missed it completely. The fuck? Come on. Andrey, you're so stupid here. My god, I'm so fucking slow. I'm sorry for that, really. Yeah. So slow. It was a very interesting game, by the way. Very interesting. So the line I calculated there after my opponent played rook to h2 was rook f7, rook to h1, and I spent a lot of time here, which I would never do in a normal Blitz game. So queen to a4, rook takes h6, and queen to c2. I was trying to evaluate this one. So if knight goes to e2, the line I calculated at the very beginning of my general calculation here, it's just knight e4, and that's fine. That's great, I think. So especially if king goes there, there's check on the first rank, and then rook on h6 drops. That was the basic idea, to force the king to the h file so that we can take that rook. Yeah, but there are some problems with this. First of all, there was king e1. I can see it now. I didn't see it during the game, and I'm not sure. So if I give this check, there is knight to c1. So what? There is still a problem in the h file, a serious one, right? So it doesn't quite work for black. But even less clear is just king to g1 immediately. If I give this check now, it doesn't matter in which square, just knight f1. And again, I have serious problems in the h file. Because if I just go away with the rook, there is nothing like rook h7. There's just rook g6, which wins immediately, instantly, checkmating me, like that, right? So I cannot afford it. I cannot play that. Maybe though I can take there and play something like king f6, but no, it's definitely what white wants here from this position. Starting the attack. Yeah. So I definitely, yeah, underestimated white's attack here. What I should have done was most likely an immediate rook f7, and after rook to h1, rook to h8, protecting everything. And if white plays the same like in the game, maybe I have time now to do something. I don't know. Is there something I can do right now, not playing knight to c5, because it feels like a waste of time? Maybe b5, right? So this indeed gives me some better options compared to what I've done. Maybe something like knight to b2, but then queen to e2. Yeah, doesn't look satisfying enough to me. All right, so let's have a look at this position. It's really interesting. So knight to c5. There. Rook h2, rook f7, there. Yeah, h6 is already hanging, and this is super annoying. So rook f4, knight a2, knight to e4 was suggested. Yeah, it looks nice at first glance, but then king goes way somewhere, even to e1, let's say. Knight on e4 is hanging now, and rook on f4 is still hanging. So it was definitely, definitely there is nothing good for black, I think. That's really strange. So the question, why queen h8 and not queen h4? At which moment? I'm not sure that there was a moment where I played queen to h8. Well, here, by the way, after king g2, I'm not sure that I'm doing well. So that was probably a good move. h6 is under attack. And if I give this check, there's king g3. The difference is that I no longer have knight e4, which is so strong. Yeah. So in general, I think there is no sufficient compensation for black. So instead of playing rook h5, it was much more interesting to play g3, I guess. In the analysis line where you play queen to h8, I don't remember how my queen could get to h8, really. King was on f6 and rook on f7. Oh, queen h8 instead of queen h4? Queen h4 was also possible, yeah. g5, queen h6, king e7, queen g5, king d7, then rook h8. Yeah, most likely also very strong. I guess, yeah. Yeah, agree. Was good. So, yeah, interesting, but somehow I underestimated your counterplay. Nice. All right, the next is area 51. Let's play. Super slow. Super slow today. But the games are interesting, I think. The games are interesting. So Trumpovsky, this line where black gets pair of bishops. And sort of French defense is on the board. Power of Knight says, Andrey only played me one time. Does it count? Yeah, it does count, of course. So what do we have here? We have an isolated pawn on d5, which is bad. But we have pair of bishops, which is great. So let's bring the queen closer to the king side. Just want to provoke some weaknesses. Why queen d8 back so early? Why not develop piece? Because before I get back to d8, I cannot really develop my dark square bishop normally. After bishop e7, it will prevent my queen from getting back, and queen is placed ugly on f6 in that situation. That's the idea. Just a question of the harmony. All right, let's get back to f6 here. So it didn't give me a lot, actually, this action. Well, okay, so should somehow bring other pieces to the game as well. So probably let's start with bishop d7, sorry. Then rook to d8, let's say. I want to get as many pieces forward as possible, otherwise I'm just worse. Because of the isolated pawn, that's why I'm not occupying the e-file and not exchange the rooks for now. All right. Fuck. Just a blunder, by the way. Yeah, I'm very bad tonight, guys. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. So obviously, I should have played bishop f4 first, and then g6. What's interesting, that was planned, but then I decided why not to actually change the order of moves. Yeah, just lost a pawn for nothing. What a patzer. What a patzer. Fantastic. Fantastic bullshit. Okay. Well, on the other hand, it's absolutely valid case. Like, there are some days when you cannot really play. That's the thing. Especially nowadays. I have them, like, quite often. So what to do now? How to survive it? First of all, do we have some targets even in this ending? Really hard to find anything to attack, to be honest. Let's go there. Let's try to attack b2. Maybe we'll force b3, where after we'll have a c3 as a target. Kind of possibility. Let's control b5 square. Then let's bring the knight to c4. White is just ignoring my threat because there are no threats at all. So that's correct. That's a correct strategy for white. Is it kind of a threat? Not really. Aha, this way. Very good. But now my light squared bishop is no longer that bad, which is good. So I have some chances, probably. At least I control a lot of squares in the center, so I'm not sure white has a super obvious plan of winning this game, right? Maybe I'm wrong. So this is something I have to do. Okay, going back. Going back. Okay. So the things are not so bad for me. Actually, could have been worse, I guess. So what I need to do here is to get rid of that knight c5, then bring my bishop to b7, and probably we'll have some play. Let's see. It's definitely not so easy for white to convert the extra pawn here. At least I want to believe in that. Being in the knight for now. Okay, and I cannot move. So we can probably try some tricks here, like this. So if c takes b4, there's bishop a7 pinning that knight. This is the move I missed. Shit. Okay. Another blunder. So what to do now? It's probably very close to a completely lost position. I didn't need that trick, actually. That was a bad idea. I was not ready for this tactics. I only helped my opponent, actually. This knight c2, it's solid. It is solid. Let's go this way. At least getting rid of the weakness, right? Okay. Yeah, very strong. Very strong, what to say. Don't know. Yeah, I guess it's lost now. Okay. It's my only target on b4. We're kind of getting it. And now the knight on c5 is my target. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't win it. But I was really close to that, right? I was really close to that. Unfortunately. But that was at least some sort of test in defense, I want to believe. Yeah. Okay, good game. Good game. I was really close. I was really close to save it, but never close enough, I think. Well, before was a wrong move. So already here, I think it's no longer that bad. So yeah, bishop b7 was a correct move. F3, rook e8 was also a correct move here. Why didn't I play f5? I have just said that knight cannot move. Why didn't I play f5? I'm so stupid. Really, just play f5, idiot, because there is bishop g3. Oh my god. I could have just won the game here. Look at that. I mean, f5, knight goes away. No, probably not winning again, just knight c5. I just won too much here. But okay, if bishop g3, king g3, rook e1, knight takes b7, position is unclear. But I can take the rook instead, and then take that pawn on g3, and then just step back with the bishop to c8. I have two bishops against two knights. And that pawn on h4 is going to drop. So white has already spoiled the position at this moment. Yeah, just f5. Oh shit, it was so simple. Yeah, it says everything about my current shape. I just cannot play chess tonight. Really. So simple. I was thinking about, you know, white's threat. So I was thinking like, okay, if knight goes away, there is bishop g3. If there is bishop g3, just force it. Idiot. Just play f5. My shit. Sorry for that. All right, I'll probably play the last game because it's... yeah, it's really pathetic what I'm doing tonight. Klein Meister. Let's play. Rook was on d8. Rook was not on d8, it was on e8. I played rook to d8, move after that. After I played b4, c4, I played rook to d8. So the rook was exactly on e8. I didn't invent that position, I just came back to that moment in annotation. So, instead of playing f5, I played b4, like an idiot. Oh, you're discussing this absolutely different position. After rook d8, 96 was suggested, missing the pin. Yeah, that's right. When the bishop was on a7, 96 just fe6, and 96 is not possible. Because the knight is pinned. Yeah, I've seen that line as well. But who cares? I could have played f5. Oh my god. Fantastic. All right, never mind. As I said, there are sometimes, these days, when you cannot produce anything. I'm just doing bullshit on the board. Bishop b5, new move. People start trolling. All right, that's good. What's going on here? Black's position looks terrible to me. That knight on a7 again. But you shouldn't be worried, I think. I will be super slow and lose on time. All right. Let's just bring the knight to e6. If black gives me a chance to do that, of course. So we have played something similar with Prom Night some episodes ago, I think. So it's clear that in this case light squares are super weak. So it's gonna be very tough position for black. I'm wondering if I can take on g6 even. H takes g5, rook h8, bishop h8, queen h5. Bishop to g7 most likely. Then queen to h7, attacking the bishop, then taking on g5. That is also absolutely playable, but not going to sacrifice anything in this position. Just want to win on light squares. They're so weak here. So black is going to play something like g5 maybe? No, f4. Okay, we can take on g6, and I think we should. Just to separate the pawns, otherwise black would have played g5. And now queen h5. Looks good, but then queen goes to g5, right? Black is still holding here. We should somehow open the position there. Maybe not immediately, but we need resources for it, I suppose. We need resources for it. A4 is also very interesting, just to bring the rook to the game from the other side of the board. Let's do it. Let's do it. So we should open as many files and diagonals here as possible, just to make all black's light squares weak. Queen there attacking g2. Okay, we can protect it with this move using the fact that f4 is pinned. I could have also played something like queen to d5, but I think I need my queen here to control h5 square, because we have rook h5 threat now. Just getting rid of that queen easily. A great position for white, I think. I'm not really developed at the moment, but key pieces are developed already. So my heavy pieces are developed. This is losing after e7, I think. We win just an exchange, though. On the other hand, it's just good enough. Maybe we win more than exchange, because rook on a8 is also hanging. So light squares, guys. I told you. Of course, it was a blunder, but black's position is, objectively speaking, very hard to play. Because of the weakness of light squares, because of the bishop on g7, which is super passive. And yeah. King h7. Okay, let's grab the whole rook. Great achievement for us. Now I guess it's time to develop some pieces. So first, maybe we'll continue with some prophylaxis. I think the only threat is coming from the f file. So if we have the bishop on f5, the f file will be closed. There will be no danger for me. We'll have enough time to develop our pieces now. Okay. Yeah. Extra rook. I don't see any danger from black's pieces. So the bishop, as I said, is very passive. That knight on a7 is completely out of play. This knight on g6 is doing nothing. Pawn is pinned. Yeah. Decisive advantage for white. And in this particular game, everything is fine with my time management. So. Looks like I'm not going to lose on time here. For sure. d5 does absolutely nothing. It changes nothing, supposedly. Let's see. If we take on d5 with the queen, rook d8, right? The only problem. What if we just take on b5 instead? Or maybe just queen g4, right? Yeah, queen g4. Extra rook should be enough to win the game in the endgame stage, so let's try to simplify this stuff. Okay. So weakening light squares that much is not correct. I believe that instead of playing bishop to g7, black should first take on d4 and then play bishop g7. I think this is the right order of moves. And if d5, you have knight e5, you have b5 counter-attacking me, and then if bishop b3, knight a5, and knight c4, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, I'm not a big expert here, but I think this move already gives me very pleasant play. Because the bishop is definitely passive now, since you missed this e4 moment. And yeah, I always have this d6 idea, I always have this h4, h5 stuff. So it's really a typical thing when you have the knight on e7 and the bishop on g7. So this h4 becomes really strong, because if your knight is on f6, I cannot really play h5. But if it is on e7, then to prevent h5, you should play something like h6 or h5, and both have some disadvantages. If you play h5, you weaken g5 forever. If you play h6, I can still play h5, and if you play g5, you weaken light squares once again. It's all about light squares here. All right, guys, thanks for being with me. Thanks for your patience. I know that this time I was really bad, but I have a feeling that disregarding the results of the games and the fact that I was super slow, we managed to play several quite interesting games full of interesting patterns. So hopefully you learned something from this episode as well. Wish you all the best and see you next week. Bye-bye.